Alright, so I'm going to show you how to properly play a couple decks with Whizbang. Now it's completely and totally random what I'm going to get, so I'm going to go through and show you, actually I don't want to cancel that, just a couple decks. Now, if you don't know how Whizbang works and you are curious about the decks that Whizbang's using, it's really easy to find them. You just go to create a new deck, and then these two recipes, never this one, never classic and never custom, these two recipes, they are the two decks that Whizbang chooses for Warrior, right? So if you don't know what's in the deck and you want to learn, yeah, I don't care. It shows you every single card, even if you don't have it, it just lets you know what's in that deck so that you can see what it is that you can expect to do with the deck, right? So the first thing that you have to do when you want to learn a deck, right? You play, here's how you're going to learn how to play Whizbang decks, right? You queue up a game, you get a deck, you're like, oh no, I have no idea what's in this deck or how to play that deck, right? Well, obviously, this is really easy. Hack the System is the name of the quest, right? So you know this is a quest deck. Drop in the Boom is not going to have a quest. So that's how you can differentiate right there from the bat. Warrior is real easy because they give you an indicator right there which deck it is that you have before you even start playing it, right? So because you have Hack the System, we can make an assumption from this. It's a quest, meaning it always starts in your opening hand. That is the card you play on turn 1, right? The quest is attack 5 times with your hero. How does Warrior attack? Warrior equips weapons. Warrior can't normally just attack for free. So from that assessment, we can judge that Blizzard isn't going to give us a deck that doesn't have weapons in it, right? So we kind of figured that weapons are important, and there's probably a theme surrounding weapons. And what do you know? It just so happens there is. Upgrade. If you have a weapon equipped, give it +1/+1. Otherwise, equip a 1/3 weapon. So one big way to leverage any type of advantage with this card is you don't want to just play it. Okay, yes, it gives you a 1/3 weapon. Yes, it starts to give you some accrued value for your quest. But the thing is that that's much more valuable on something like Livewire Lance, right? Because what this does is if you play Livewire Lance, right, and you swing on the first turn, it's now a 2/1 weapon, and it gives you a lackey to your hand. But if you play Upgrade on Livewire Lance after, say you turn Livewire Lance on curve, right? So you play it on turn 3. You swing, it's now a 2/1. You play Upgrade, it's now a 3/2, right? So it gives you 1 extra durability. So that's 1 extra swing, which means 1 extra quest completion tick, right? So what else is in this deck? Dynamatic. Dynamatic's disgusting, right? Deal 5 damage randomly split among all minions except mechs. This card is probably one of the best Warrior cards, if not the best outside of Dr. Boom, right? And obviously Omega Devastator. But this card right here, in the mid-game, usually clears your enemy's board, right? As long as you only have mechs on your side of the board. If you have anything else on your side of the board, this card is a bad card to play because it's going to hit your stuff. There's only one little exception to that, and that's if you have Acolyte of Pain. Because whenever it takes damage, you draw a card. So if you really need card draw and it's turn 8 and you're pretty much out of resources, you can slam down Acolyte of Pain and then slam down Dynamatic, and chances are it's going to hit Acolyte of Pain a couple of times, dealing damage to Acolyte of Pain, and you draw a card for each damage dealt to Acolyte of Pain. So it hits once, you draw 1 card. It hits Acolyte twice, you draw 2 cards. It hits Acolyte 3 times, you draw all 3 cards, right? So these are just basic ideas, basic principles, things like Brawl. This is important. Brawl's a very, very important card for Warrior. It clears an entire board most times, or does so that it's favorable to you, right? So you want to save this when the enemy is something like, I don't know, Conjurer's Mage, and they maybe have like 4 fucking giants on the board. So that would probably be when you want to play Brawl. Now, because there's only 1 Brawl in your deck, you have to automatically have this type of thought process in your brain. Okay, I'm queuing into a mage and I'm Warrior. Chances are this mage is playing something with giants and conjurers calling. So I should probably look for the Brawl and then save the Brawl for when I need that, okay? That is like stupid important. All right, so this is like just a basic rundown, but this is how you need to evaluate the decks, right? So I'm not saying sit there and memorize every single deck list, but the way that you're gonna learn it is a gradual thing from playing. So like you get dropping the boom, right? And it's like, oh, okay, well this has Dr. Boom Mad Genius. There is a lot of other high-end stuff in this deck, right? But they aren't your win condition. This is your win condition, okay? Big red button is the best hero power in the game because it just makes you super powerful. Like you have like what, 5 different hero powers once you get Dr. Boom Mad Genius. So, and you want to save this card every single time you play this deck. This is the card you're looking for because the chances of you winning the game is directly dependent on you having this card. Okay? Forget all the rest of this. Is it possible to win without Dr. Boom Mad Genius? Yes, of course it is. But this card is the card that makes all of this other stuff good, right? So you just want to armor up and play control, right? So let's go over just a few more common ones, right? So Shaman. I don't even know what's in Shaman. I think it's Murlocs. Yeah, Murlocs. Which if you don't know how to fucking play Murlocs by now, just go look at this list. It's the stupidest, easiest list in the universe. You want to find this card, that's it. You want to find Underbelly Angler, you want to save your minions until you can play a decent amount of them, and you go face. All Murlocs synergize. Bloodlust is obviously your kill card. Most easy deck in the universe to play. If you don't know how to play it, then you probably shouldn't be playing Hearthstone by this point. Okay, Corrupt the Waters. This is the new quest deck, right? But it's played like a control deck. It's not an aggro deck like Underbelly Underlings and Murlocs. This deck requires some thinking, right? But you want to play your battle cries. Now there's some nuance to this. Sludge Slurper, that's one of the ones you want to have early, right? You want to have Sludge Slurper, you want to have Evil Cable Rat, you definitely want to have Questing Explorer, and then Sandstorm Elemental is also really good, right? So the way you play this deck is to curve. That's all you want to do is curve, right? You want a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is how you want to draw your cards, right? Now you say, Steve, I can't control that. How do you handle such a thing? You don't. You just mulligan as best as you can, but you always keep the quest in your opening hand, right? You always play the quest. If it is a deck, I don't care what deck it is, if there is a quest in your hand, 100% you play it on turn 1 with the exception of one deck, which I will get into because it's a very big nuance with the deck. I don't even know if the deck is in Whizbang. I hope it is because it's a really fun deck to play, but it's Druid. Right? The Druid quest. Druid quest you don't play on 1 unless you don't have the coin, right? So like if you have the coin, what you do is you coin play quest. I'll explain that a little bit more in detail. But basically, things that you're going to want to look to do in this is complete your quest. That's it, right? Now there's a couple of win conditions here. Obviously, the biggest one is like Shutterwalk, and I don't know. No, okay. The other Swamp Queen. Okay. So the other Haggith is not in this deck. Okay. But it's a control deck. What you want to do is you want to maximize value with this deck. You want to get as many battle cries off as you possibly can once you get the upgraded hero power. Things like mind control tech, you save for things like, you know, big wide boards or Conjurer's Mage because you play this after you've hero powered. After you've completed the quest, right? Because you complete Corrupt the Waters, right? And then you get Heart of Vernal. Once you have Heart of Vernal and you pay the 2 mana, right? This now becomes 5 mana, 3/3, steal 2 giants. That's what that becomes. It's not steal 2 giants like create 2 new giants. It's steal my enemy's giants, right? That's how that works. And if that doesn't work, you always have Hex, right? Witchwood Piper helps you tutor out your lowest cost minion from your deck. It's just a value card. Barista is a huge one because she allows you to copy all the other minions in your hand or in play. So you have like Sandstorm Elemental, Evil Cable Rat, and Sludge Slurper on the board, right? Following turn, they're still alive for whatever reason. You play Barista Lynchin, you get a Sludge Slurper, an Evil Cable Rat, and a Questing or a Sandstorm Elemental right back in your hand, right? But it doesn't take those ones off the board. It just copies them and puts new ones in your hand, right? And if you hero power on 7 and then play Barista Lynchin, you get 6 copies of those 3 minions. Okay, so 6 new Battlecry minions added to the pool. So I hope you're kind of understanding this, like, and how it works. So it's all about just understanding what it is. So I'm just going to go through a couple more, and I'll go over the nuancy ones, right? Cursed Crew. This is just pirate aggro rogue, right? You just play on curve, and you go face. Like, that's the whole point. Your big swing turn is Captain Hooktusk because it summons 3 pirates out of your deck and puts them into play, and then Cannon Barrage can be used to finish off your opponent. It deals 3 damage to a random enemy, repeat for each of your pirates. What that means is however many pirates you have on the board when you play Cannon Barrage, it will do 3 damage on separate ticks, right? So if I have 4 pirates on the board, that's 3, 6, 9, 12. And if they have no minions on the board, that's 3, 6, 9, 12 damage to face, right? So this is just a face deck. That's all this is, right? Bizarre Burglary, it's a really, really bad quest deck, but it's a quest deck, right? You get Bizarre Burglary, you play it on turn 1, then the whole purpose of your deck is to steal cards from your opponent the entire time, right? So you have, you play Bizarre Burglary, you get Clever Disguise, add 2 random spells from another class to your hand. So you're literally just, this deck is so bad that it actively steals class cards from other decks. That's the whole point of this, right? And then your big swing turn, and I use swing turn very loosely because it's really, really randomized how it works, is Test Greymane. You play this on turn 8, and it replays every card from another class that you have played this game, right? Now, if you can manage somehow, which it is possible with this deck, but if you can somehow manage to find Shadow Step, you can play Test Greymane and then Shadow Step Test Greymane back into your hand, meaning all of those cards that Test Greymane plays, you can then pull Test back into your hand and play it again the following turn and do the same exact thing. So this deck, though, it's really hard to win with that deck. That deck is really bad, right? Paladin, pretty simple. They have 2. One is really bad. I think they're both really bad, but this is the Reno deck, right? This is the Highlander Paladin deck. It's real bad. There's like almost 0 win condition with this deck. It's just make big dudes and try somehow to go face, right? There is no, like, OTK in this deck, even though there's a Shavala in it, so I don't know why you wouldn't put the OTK combo in this deck, but it's not there. It's just, hold on, for the plane. It is just a deck that is really good at keeping you alive and removing their stuff. But it doesn't really have, like, an actual win condition. There's no, like, the way that I beat Conjurer Mage with this was I literally had no cards left in my deck. 0 cards left in my deck, right? The enemy player was at 11 health. I had a Ziliax in my hand, and it was another 3 health mini. It was Kartut Defender took 1 damage because he pinged it the turn before. So Kartut Defender was a 3/3. With no Reborn. The Reborn had already ticked. And I healed it. How did I heal it? It was, I used, there's a card in there that heals it. I forget what it's called. Blessing of something or other. Right? Where is it? This isn't a strategy. This is just what I had to do to live and win. Right? Flash of Light. That's what it was. So I played Flash of Light on my Defender. He pinged it. And then he had, like, 3 giants on the board. They were sea giants, they weren't mountain giants, and they weren't the taunt minions. Right? That's what he had. I had a Ziliax on the board with Divine Shield. Right? And he just played his giants, made his giants, and he played a secret. Now, I know the deck list that he was playing, the secret was destroy or deal 3 damage to all enemy minions, right? So if I attacked with Ziliax into a minion, to get the stupid heal, it would have removed the shield off of Ziliax, and then when I attacked with Kartut Defender into their face, it would have killed both Ziliax and Kartut Defender, right? So I was very patient with the way I did this. And I had Ziliax on the board, he played it on that turn, I sent Kartut Defender into, just to test, because if it was Counterspell, I lose the game, right? off of what my play was. So I throw Kartsit Defender into him, right? It does 3 damage to both of my minions. Ziliax still had the Divine Shield, so it was still alive. And then I hit it with Blessing of Kings, and where's that other new one? It's 6 mana, right? Pharaoh's Blessing. Blessing of Kings and Pharaoh's Blessing. That's exact lethal. That is exactly 11 damage, right? And I killed him with it. And it was my last minion in my hand. So that is how I won with this deck. It is a very hard deck to play. You only have 1 of each copy of the cards in your deck. You can probably find some way to win the game with Zephyrus. I think that it's just a really bad deck, though. And then this is Secret Paladin. You play secrets. You go face. You trade only when you have to. It's just a mid-range deck. That's it, right? So, onward to the next one. Hunter. Hunter's has 2, and they're both really easy. One is a Reno deck, and one is a Quest deck, right? There's a theme with that, I think. One's a Reno deck, one's a Quest deck. I could be wrong. Okay, no, so this is mech. This is mech garbage. This is just bad, right? I mean, you could probably beat Warrior, but it's just mech. It's just Mech Hunter. That's all it is. It's Mech Hunter. It's Mech Hunter that uses Necromechanic, Mechanical Whelps, Oblivitron, Unleash the Beast, and then usually finishes the game with Zul'jin. This deck is not very good. You can win with it, although I feel like there's a lot of garbage in this deck that doesn't make sense to have. Like, the only mechs you really want in this deck is Ziliax, Snip Snap, Spider Bomb, maybe Venom. I don't even think Venomizer belongs in this. Mechanical Whelp. Well, the point of this is you want to get your Death Rattle mechs out there, because things like 9 lives, after the minion dies, 9 lives brings it back. It puts a copy of a dead minion into your hand, a dead mech into your hand, and triggers its Death Rattle, right? So if you had a Mechanical Whelp and it died, and then they killed the 7/7 that popped out afterwards, you would play 9 lives, and it would give you a Mechanical Whelp in your hand, and the 7/7 Mechanical Dragon would immediately hit the board. Now when you combine 9 lives with Necromechanic, your Death Rattles trigger twice. So what does that mean? That means when you play 9 lives, you get Mechanical Whelp back into your hand, and then you get 2 7/7 dragons on the board instead of just 1. And then when you play Zul'jin later on, Zul'jin will automatically cast 9 lives because it's a spell and throw even more nonsense onto the board. So that's pretty much how the deck works. It sounds really cool, it sounds really powerful, and it is in certain matchups. It's by far not the worst deck. It's probably medium to high. It really depends on what it is that you're fighting against. It's really weak to aggro. There's not a whole lot that you can really do with this deck against aggro. Now, Unseal the Vault is the quest, also known as Unseal the Vault. What you do is you just play stuff. You literally play everything. This is the deck that I beat that guy turn 6, and it's because of this card here, right? Excuse me, there is a plane flying overhead. Okay, so now that that's out of the way. Scavenging Hyena, this is what I was able to kill the guy with, right? I literally had Timberwolf Scavenging Hyena, right? Turn 1, I played Unseal the Vault, which is for the quest. Oh, by the way, like, not even close to having the quest done. The quest, this deck doesn't even really need the quest. It's really awesome if you can get it, because the quest is really for dealing with control decks. But you don't play this deck like a control deck, and that's what a lot of people do, and it's stupid. Or like a mid-rangey deck. No, this is an aggro face deck. This is a I'm gonna kill you with a ginormous freaking minion deck. That's what this is, right? So, Scavenging Hyena, I just played it on turn 2, right? So turn 1 was Unseal the Vault. Turn 2 is Scavenging Hyena. And then when he played a minion, I had a Timberwolf in my hand from the opening, because I didn't have coin. All I had in my opening hand was Unseal the Vault, Scavenging Hyena, Timberwolf, right? So I played Unseal the Vault, then the Scavenging Hyena, to which he played a 1/1 minion. Or no, he played a... What did he play? So I had 3 mana. He played a 2/1 and a 2/2, right? So how did I use this card to kill both of those minions and get it to live so that I was able to go face for a ridiculous amount of damage early game? Easy. I drew Springpaw off the top, right? So my play immediately after that was Timberwolf, Springpaw. I sent both the Springpaws into his minions, his 2/1 and his 2/1 and his 2/2, which they died, giving Scavenging Hyena +2/+1, right? So my Scavenging Hyena is now, what, a 6/4, right? And I went face. And then the next turn, he tried to play something, I forget what it was, but I played Animal Companion and ended up getting Misha, the 4/4 taunt, right? So then he had to kill the Misha, and when he killed the Misha's a beast, so Scavenging Hyena got another +2/+1. Basically, this went on for about 3 turns, and then the guy realized, like, I'm dead, because I went face for, like, some disgusting amount of damage with my Scavenging Hyena, and it was turn 6. So, but the point of the deck is, you play minions. That's it. That's literally the quest. Summon 20 minions. You just play minions. That's it. So, when you play this quest, don't worry about the quest. You're naturally going to complete this quest. It is going to happen. You're like, well, how do you get 20 minions? You don't have to worry about the 20 minions. They will happen because there are cards in this deck which will automatically give them to you. Halazeo of the Lynx gives you, it literally fills your hand with 1/1s with Rush, right? It fills your hand with Springpaws, basically, okay? So you play Halazeo the Lynx, and then you have an entire hand full of minions to play. Same thing, right? You play Swarm of Locusts, you now have 7 1/1 minions that you just added to your quest, right? You play this card twice, it's like, there's no way that you don't have the quest completed by then, but you shouldn't need to play this twice to complete the quest ever with this deck, right? You have Unleash the Hounds. They play a bunch of minions, you play Unleash the Hounds, you get a 1/1 minion for each minion they have on the board. So, it's really easy to complete the quest. Don't worry about the quest. The quest will come naturally, right? You just play Mid-Range Hunter and go face. That's all you do with this deck. Alright, up next, Druid. Alright. Untapped Potential is the quest deck that I was just referring to when I said this is the only one where you don't play the quest on 1 most times, right? If you have the coin. So if you have the coin, you play it on turn 1. Okay? That's what you do. You play it on turn 1. And then you coin. Why? Because if you end 4 turns with unspent mana, it ticks 1 completion on your quest, right? So you play this on turn 1 with the coin. You just play the coin. That's all you do. Just play the coin. And that's 1 unspent mana, right? Also, you have Worthy Expedition, which doesn't do much. I guess it's not in this deck. There was an epic. In the real version of the deck, there's a card that's not in here. Basically, you don't spend all your mana, and Untapped Potential will automatically complete itself. How does it work? You get a Syrian Tier. What does a Syrian Tier do? Your Choose One spells both activate at the same time, right? So, choose one. Give your minions +1/+1, or summon a 3/2 Panther. What happens if you have Osirian Tier active? Which is a hero power that you don't have to tap, by the way. It just automatically is active all the time. When you play this, you get 2 3/2 Panthers and give them +1/+1. That's what happens every time you play this, right? Because Osirian Tier just activates both. So basically you get, this is pay 2 mana, get 2 4/3s, right? Wrath is pay 2 mana, deal 3 damage, and then deal 1 damage and draw a card. Druid of the Scythe is summon a, what is it, 6/6? I think it's 6/6. It might be 4/6. I don't remember. It might be 6/6. But it combines both taunt and rush and the stat line, right? It might be 4/6. I think it's 4/6. I could be wrong. War Druid Lodi is just insane. It's like it's all of them. It's all of their forms, all of the forms for Wardrobe Lodi, right? So I think in total it's a 4/6. If you play Wardrobe Lodi after you have Assyrians here, it's a 4/6 stealthed rush lifesteal minion, poisonous. Yes, all of that. It is all of that in one, right? Oasis Surger becomes 2 5/5s with rush, right, for 5 mana. Starfall deals 5 damage to one minion and then 2 damage to the entire board, right? Hidden Oasis becomes heal for 12, get a 6/6. Nourish becomes give yourself 2 mana crystals and also draw 3 cards, right? Tending Tauren is give yourself 2 3/3 Treants and also buff your other minions with +1/+1. Cenarius, which is the bomb insanity, gives you a 5/8, 2 4/4s, and gives all your other minions +2/+2, right? So this deck is insane to get. This deck is probably my favorite, right? Nature's Restoration. This deck, it's Lucent Bark Druid. It's a really bad version of Lucent Bark Druid. The whole point of this deck is just Lucent Bark, and then Faceless Manipulator your Lucent Bark to get more Lucent Barks because you don't have enough Lucent Barks, right? And then when your Lucent Barks die, you just resurrect them by healing yourself for 5, and then you have more Lucent Barks for your Lucent Barks because we heard you like Lucent Barks. That's pretty much it. You just make an impenetrable wall of Lucent Barks that they can't deal with, and that's how you win. It's really easy. Warlock, interesting one. Supreme Archaeology. This deck is trash. If you get this deck, it's real bad. But the 2 things that you want to be looking for with this deck is, first, you always get the quest, right? You play that, Tomb of Origination. It makes your tap 2 damage to yourself, draw a card, that card is free, right? What you want to do is you want to try to get Plot Twist and Fellorg Betrug or Dollmaster Dorian, preferably Dollmaster Dorian, right? Because then on turn 7, you play Dollmaster Dorian, you play Plot Twist, and Dollmaster Dorian makes a 1/1 of every minion you draw, right? And Plot Twist shuffles your whole hand back in your deck and draws you brand new cards. So it fills your board with a bunch of 1/1s. This was a lot better when the deck used to run Mechanical Whelps that gave you 7/7s and stuff like that. Now it's a lot worse. Pretty much what you're doing with this deck, I don't even know what you're doing with this deck. You're just trying not to lose. That's pretty much it. Like, this is still the same combo, like Fellorg and Dollmaster. You still want to do that. And then ultimately at the end, you want to play Archvillain Rafaam, because Archvillain Rafaam now has a point in the deck. It's not just uselessly there. It actually gives you legendaries, and then you can tap once you complete your quest, Supreme Archaeology, and then you draw a free legendary minion, right? So that's how that works. Ultimate Infestation. This is just Zoo. That's literally it. It's Zoo. You play minions down, and you smack them in the face. It's Zoo. It's literally just Zoo, right? Jumbo Wimp is a terrible card, but okay. Sea Giant, you just fill your board, you play Sea Giants, you go face every single turn, you don't worry about trading. Very simple. It's Zoo. That's all it is. It's just a bad Zoo deck, right? Mage. Okay. I played this deck earlier. This deck is terrible. But I managed to make it work because I actually found a Conjurer's Calling, and I also found a way to make Conjurer's Calling not suck by getting a Calicos, right? So what this deck tries to do is it just, I don't even know. Like, there's no real plan here. It's kind of spell damage, kind of not really. Like, I mean, the point of the deck is Doom Sculptor, right? This is Doom Sculptor and Mana Cyclone are your 2 big cards that you wanna find, right? Because that's how you find a win condition. This deck is literally, hey, we threw a bunch of mage crap in your deck that does pretty much nothing proactive, and we're gonna make you find a way to win, That's literally what you're doing the whole time, is using Dune Sculptor to try to find a way to win, right? Every time you cast a spell, you get a random mage minion in your hand. So what you're trying to do is, you're basically trying to activate things with Mana Cyclone to get random spells in your hand. The random spells, you want to try to find Conjurer's Calling. And then with Dune Sculptor, the way that I won, Jesus with these fucking planes. Okay, the way that I won was I used Dune Sculptor and I just played natural spells that I had, and I managed to find Calicos, right? Calicos is, I can show you. Holy crap, I have a golden mana worm. Calicos. This is Calicos. Your first spell each turn costs 0, battlecry, discover a spell. You know what Calicos is because you've seen me play it, right? So you dropped Calicos on 10, and then I had a Conjurer's Calling in my hand, and I Conjurer's Calling the Calicos while also finding a another card that wasn't in the deck originally. It just worked out really perfectly that I had these exact cards. But I managed to find that and Khadgar, right? Your minions that summon minions summon twice as many, right? So this is the way that Mage exploits giants and makes them 4 giants instead of just 2 giants with Conjurer's Calling, right? But I had this on the board. It lived. Not sure how that happened. It lived for more than 1 turn. It lived for like 4 turns. I don't know how that happened, but it did. They never killed my Calicos, and then they never killed my Khadgar. I played Calicos, then Conjurer's Calling to my Calicos, and ended up with 4 8/8s on the board. And that's how I won. So this deck, real bad deck. It's really skill dependent. It's basically, like I said, Blizzard said, hey, we're gonna give you this deck that has cards to find a way to win, but doesn't win by itself, right? So that's really terrible. It's a really terrible feeling when you just find garbage the whole time, which is totally possible to find. Right, so let's go back into Mage. We only have 3 more decks. Alright, Reno's Riches. It's Reno Mage. It's Reno Mage, Reno Mage, Reno Mage. The best deck in the meta, right? Supposedly. But this one has really bad cards in it. It has things like Mossy Horror, which is not good. It has Sandbinder in it, which is also not good. I don't know why there's a Sandbinder in this deck. Is there a giant? There's no giant in this deck. I don't know why there's a Sandbinder. Why is there a Sandbinder? Oh, because there's a water elemental. Sorry. There's a Sandbinder in this deck because it's pulling this. Water elemental, and it's pulling Zephyrus, right? So this Sandbinder has a way to tutor out Zephyrus and Water Elemental. Why they put Water Elemental in this, knowing that there was a Sandbinder in this deck, it doesn't make any sense. You would pretty much use this just to find this. You don't want to play that and find Water Elemental. That is not a good play. But it's not the worst thing in the world, right? Dragon Maw Scorcher doesn't make sense. Don't know why that's in the deck. Rotten Apple Bomb doesn't make sense. Don't know why that's in the deck. Mind Control Tech, Messenger Raving, these are all cards that aren't optimized in the deck, right? How do you play this deck and how do you win with it? Well, you look for the most broken card in the game outside of Dr. Boom Mad Genius, which is Luna's Pocket Galaxy, right? It changes the cost of minions in your deck to 1. So the ideal scenario is you find Zephyrus in your opening hand. That's what you want to try to find and mulligan for every single time is Zephyrus the Great. You want this card, you want this card, you want this card. Because on turn 2 or turn 1, you go coin Zephyrus, or you just wait till turn 2 and you play Zephyrus, and you want to get Wild Growth, right? It's a Druid 3 mana spell that says add an extra mana crystal to your pool. What that does is it ramps you, it accelerates your mana pool, right? So instead of having 3 mana on the following turn, you have 4 mana on the following turn. Instead of having 2 mana on the following turn, you have 3 mana on the following turn. What is the point of this? Because it lets you get and play Luna's Pocket Galaxy when they go into turn 4, right? So you pull ahead of them in mana and turn, and you get Luna's Pocket Galaxy out, which changes the cost of every minion in your deck to 1. Not in your hand. All the minions that are in your hand stay the same price, but all the minions that are still in your deck are now 1 mana. So you have 1 mana Zilliax, 1 mana Rotten Applebomb, 1 mana Barista Lynchen, right? And the finisher for the deck, I don't even know if this deck runs Conjurer's Calling. It doesn't. This deck doesn't do Conjurer's Calling. Not sure why. It doesn't make too much sense to me. I don't even understand how this deck really wins. But I guess Calicos, which is the card we just talked about, you basically just play a bunch of crap. And then you play Barista Lynchen to get value and get those Battlecry minions back in your hand, just like you do with the quest, Shaman Quest Barista Lynchen. And then you get more value back into your hand, right? So you just outvalue them, and then you play Hexlord Malakras, and this is another big important reason why you want to find Zephyrus in your opening hand. Hexlord Malakras' Battlecry is add a copy of your opening hand to your hand, except this card, right? So if you had Malakras in your opening hand, you don't get another Malakras. But if you play Malakras and you had good cards in your opening hand, you get all of those cards back into your hand. So now you get to play Zephyrus again late game, which can help you find lethal, right? And there's also another combination you could do where if you get Barista Lynchen in your opening hand and then you get Hexlord Malakras, you play Hexlord Malakras, you get another Barista Lynchen back into your hand, right? So then if Malakras survives the next turn, you play Barista Lynchen, you get another Malakras back in your hand, which when you play that gives you another Barista Lynchen. So it goes in a circle. And you never run out of Barista Lynchens, assuming they don't kill your Hexlord Malakras, right? That's insane. So there are ways to win with this version of the deck. This is by far and large the best deck that you could possibly get currently from Whizbang, okay? Now off to the next 2 decks. They're very simplistic, very self-explanatory. You kind of understand one of them. Activate the Obelisk. It's Quest. You just heal 15 damage, and then you get Obelisk Eye, which is heal a minion for 3, give it +3/+3, right? You could also heal yourself for 3 instead of healing yourself for 2, but we want to buff minions. So this deck is really bad, and I haven't won. I won once with this deck. I haven't lost at all with Whizbang, but I came real close to losing. Basically, you want to get to a point where you can interfire them, right? So you want to get a minion on the board that has high health, and then the combo is Divine Spirit, Interfire, and you go face. That's it. That's literally it. There's no other win condition in this deck. If you run out of minions before you complete the quest, you lose the game, and that's 100%. Like, there's no way to win without minions. This whole deck is based on minions, and as you can see by the minions that they give you, there's not a whole lot of good minions here, right? So you kind of want to manage your resources and only play minions in circumstances where it's going to be beneficial for you. Just tempoing out with this deck is actually bad. It's an actively bad strategy because you don't get those minions back once they die, and then you have nothing to buff with your hero power, and then you just lose the game. And the last deck for Whizbang is Day of the Dead. This is Resurrection Priest. It's just Resurrection Priest 2.0, right? So you have Convincing Infiltrators, you have Archmage Vargoth, you have a bunch of control stuff here, like Mass Hysteria, and Convincing Infiltrator is also a control card, right? Because it destroys a random enemy minion. Basically, what you want to do is you just want to have infinite threats. This deck works by resurrecting and bringing back all of these minions that are in the deck, right? Things like Katrina Muerte, resurrects a friendly minion that died, Mass Resurrection summons 3 minions that died, and Plague of Death is like your, oh shit, I'm gonna lose the game unless I clear their board card, right? But it's 9 mana, and it's supposed to be a really good card, but I haven't seen it do anything good in this entire rotation cycle, right? So that's it. So now, I am going to play a game with Whizbang. Hopefully I don't lose. And I will explain the way that I'm doing things, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and all that, right? Let me just check. I can make sure my battery life isn't that low. Okay, I kind of have low battery life, so I'm going to do it relatively quickly here. Alright, so... Why is my bar not going away? Hold on. Alright, I'm going to stop the recording here, actually, and just make this part 1. And then I'm going to play a couple games with Whizbang.